So it's clear that the effects of climate change are already being felt across the world. And as the effects of these severe weather events become more frequent, it's really essential that we assess our ability to cope with these shocks and the extent to which our communities, our individuals, our societies are resilient to disaster.
So resilience is a huge part of addressing climate change, but we have to do it in a way that is not just solely based on one issue. What I mean by that is part of the biggest mechanism to deal with climate change is to mitigate, so reduce our emissions. But if we don't reduce our emissions while also ensuring that the infrastructure or the policies we make aren't future-proofed to a rapidly changing climate, we'll have to rip them out and do them again because they weren't done correctly. These all are components that have to be understood and how they interact with each other.
The 2021 World Risk Poll offers a unique data set on resilience because we're looking at factors that aren't commonly incorporated into the much harder measures of resilience that are used by others. So for example, it's quite standard to look at the income level of a country or regionally, but actually asking people about how long they can survive if they lost all of their income offers you a very different perspective on people's financial security and their ability to withstand a disaster.
And increasingly, I think we can't understand what we need to be resilient until we understand the things that we're relying on, whether it's a supply chain, a community, a business. One of the big things that are driving and disrupting a lot of practices and businesses and countries is climate change.
Another soft factor measuring resilience was a question about the extent to which people feel that their neighbours care about their well-being. And that gives us a great level of insight into the strength of a community and the extent to which people are going to be able to support each other and pull together as a community when disaster strikes.
It draws some really interesting conclusions. And some of the things that you start realizing is that in some cases where we're seeing lower income countries with less infrastructure, less education, a higher ability in terms of how they're dealing with and their perception of their own agency in responding to shocks and stresses.
So the World Risk Poll data is freely available to everybody who wants to use it, and we do encourage people to use it to understand where strengths and vulnerabilities lie. So to learn from the communities that have high resilience and to understand the factors that are driving that and what builds resilience, but also to identify the communities that really need the best support and then to design interventions working with those communities to help improve their resilience.
Having a data set like this that helps understand what the perception of risks and hazards are to individuals actually is a massive, massive toolkit for city practitioners, policymakers, and businesses, because when it helps substantiate a strategy, it helps to really come up with some informative policies, practices, and collaboration opportunities on how to move resilience forward in a very different way.